the National Emergency Coordinator of NEMO. We also have joining with us our Chief Hydrologist, Mr. Neil Hendy. And in just a few, Minister Andrea Perez will be joining us to give us some remarks coming from San Pedro, along with the coordinator in that area, Miss Vanessa Parham. We will jump right into it, and I will ask the Chief Met to begin with the update. Mr. Gordon, you may be muted.
Yes. Good afternoon, members of the media. Good afternoon, Belize. I am asked to allow people to record every minute, so I need to be pressing something. I don't know if I was given that privilege as well while I got the share screen privilege, but I keep getting requests to allow recording. But anyway, let me begin. As of the 3 p.m. advisory on Hurricane Beryl, the system was located near latitude 19.5 degrees north, longitude 84.3 degrees west, and that puts it about 278 miles to the northeast of Corozal town. Beryl was moving to the west-northwest at 20 miles per hour, with maximum sustained winds of 110 miles per hour. The forecast is for Beryl to continue on a generally westward to slightly north of west track for the next few hours, and make landfall on the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico in about 12 to 18 hours. Currently, the system has weakened, as you can see. It's now a Category 2. However, I asked to share screen because, as you can see from the imagery that I am displaying, I hope you can see it, but there's an eye wall forming to the north, and there's the appearance of an eye forming once again. That is typically an indication of re-strengthening. So it appears that Beryl is fighting against wind shear due to the very warm waters, as we had discussed previously, is trying to win over with some re-intensification. There's a possibility that at the next advisory, it may be back up to a Category 3. I don't know yet, but that eye wall formation and an eye forming there is an indication that the system is trying to regain some strength. But let's look at the local perspective for us here in Belize. And I hope that when I switch tab, you will be seeing another image. Can you confirm that you're seeing the radar picture?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so this is our local radar, of course, from the National Meteorological Service. And what you're seeing there are bands of showers coming into the country in association with Beryl. We already had a band passing this morning. We have a few more coming in over the country at the moment. We have some forming offshore, and we expect these bands of showers to continue to come into the country, showers and thunderstorms, as Beryl approaches the Yucatan Peninsula. We still remain under a tropical storm watch, not a tropical storm warning, a tropical storm watch from Belize to the northward to the border with Mexico, including, of course, the islands of Ambergris Key and Key Cocker. We expect that tropical storm sustained winds will not be felt in neither areas. However, we may have gusts in these squalls, in these bands, to tropical storm strength. And I remind the public that tropical storm winds are from 39 miles per hour up to about 73 miles per hour. Given that the center of the system will make landfall way to the north of us, and the radii or the radius to which tropical storm force winds extend do not come all the way down to Belize, I do not expect sustained tropical storm force winds, as I said previously, but we may have winds gusting to tropical storm within these bands, and these will be mostly affecting the north of the country in terms of the strength of those winds. Otherwise, the bands outside of that area can have squally and gusty winds, heavy rainfall, strong thunderstorm activity, intense lightning, but we do not expect gusts, or I should say, based on the location, these areas may not see gusts up to tropical storm force, but they will see gusty winds, which can cause structural damage, and even sometimes you can have trees being uprooted or branches coming off trees. And we do know that within thunderstorms, sometimes you have microbursts, that can result in roof damages even if you're not near the center. So certainly these are some of the impacts that we may see as the system makes landfall north of our border. I wanted to share one other tab in relation to the, let me try to minimize this. Okay, I don't know if I can do this, but I'm trying to minimize the zoom. Anyway, I will just describe it. So the other picture was a bit more complicated anyway. It describes the wind shear pattern over the system currently, and we see moderate wind shear indeed, as was expected. However, there's also what we call a dive wind pattern, that is basically winds at the higher levels of the atmosphere kind of diverging, and that is supporting upward motion, and that may also be a factor which is favoring some intensification. But I think the most important thing to do right now is to sum up as it relates to the impact of Belize. Again, I repeat, we do not expect sustained tropical storm force winds. We do keep the tropical storm watch from Belize to the northward, including the islands. In the case that we may have winds gusting to tropical storm force within these bands, we do expect heavy rainfall, up to about 4 to 6 inches with locally higher values. I did mention this morning that the GFS model was underestimating the rainfall potential from the system, and based on what I'm seeing on radar, that is indeed the case, because we're seeing much more rainfall occurring than the model was showing us. So we did err on the side of caution and go for those 4 to 6 inches with local higher values. One last hazard that I had mentioned before is in terms of rough sea conditions. We still expect that to happen, especially during showers and thunderstorms. We expect seas to become rough because of the winds, but also we do expect that the swells generated by Beryl will be propagating towards our area, increasing the wave heights. And so definitely there is some hazard out there for mariners, and we do have a small craft warning in effect. That is to tell mariners that if you are not in safe harbor, to seek so as soon as possible. If you are in safe harbor, to remain there until after the passage of the system. And I think I have covered much of what I wanted to present, so I will stop sharing screen and hand over to Pierre Zatina. And thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Gordon. We now move to Mr. Mendez.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Zatina. So we'll just share quickly the preparations that we continue to have at the National Emergency Management Organization. Firstly, we continue to monitor the daily forecast alongside the Met Service in order for us to provide the necessary updates as required. Secondly, we are also monitoring the flood forecast in collaboration with the National Hydrological Service. As you may be aware, or as Ms. Tennille will be reporting later, there was a flood forecast, and there's a flood warning that has been released. She will provide further details on that. We are also monitoring that closely in order for us to understand the impact of that. Our coordinators across the country, and in particular in the northern districts and in the Key-Calker area and San Pedro area, remain in close communication with community leaders, particularly in the Corozal and Orange Walk district. We remain in close communication with our river monitors, with all the village and town and city leaders to closely monitor these water levels and to update these as necessary. All our EOCs are activated, and they continue to prepare for Hurricane Beryl if necessary. It's particularly those areas in the north are on heightened alert for tonight. We have done our restocking, and our warehouses are prepared. Again, as I reported, shelters will be opened in some parts of the countries, particularly in the north, in preparation for the effects of Beryl. These will be available to people who may need this service in the next few hours. Again, the National Emergency Operations Center will be in full operation tonight. We will be on 24/7 watch for the next few hours. and as long as necessary. And we will continue to monitor the passage of Hurricane Beryl as it makes landfall later tonight. And we will be providing any updates as necessary as soon as this information comes in from the affected districts. With that, then I hand over back to you, Ms. Tina.
Thank you, Mr. Mendez. Ms. Tenille, would you like to share something from the hydrology standpoint for us, please?
Hi, good afternoon. Just checking that you're hearing me fine. We're having some technical difficulties on this end.
Yes, we are.
So that's great. All right. So our advisory coming out of the National Hydrological Service this afternoon is first that we have a flash flood warning for the coastal road. And for it to be a little bit more specific, we're speaking in the areas of the Saboon Bridge located in La Democracia Village up until the Gales Point cutoff. So we're advising residents and motorists who are in this area to exercise extreme caution when they're using this coastal highway. We also have a flood alert, which means that their flooding is possible and you need to be prepared. And that is in effect for the Saboon River at Freetown, Saboon. Of course, the Saboon River runs through from the west all the way down to just south of Belize City in the Deepwater Port area. So we're asking for communities in these areas just to remain alert and to stay tuned to our advisories so that we can make the best decisions when determining our traveling arrangements. We also have a flood warning in effect for the Belize and Corozal districts. And we're not only speaking about the major river systems that are in these districts, but we're also speaking about tributaries, meaning rivers, creeks, and streams that are associated with those larger river systems. We expect urban flooding to occur on those systems. Particularly, other areas of the country are also reflecting elevated water levels, and this is associated with the outer bands, as Chief Met explained. And we also have that transboundary influence that I've been speaking about or referring to since the beginning of this week. The rainfall that has been occurring in late June in Mexico, we're now seeing those rivers coming into the country via the transboundary influence. And we expect this to continue occurring until they've basically exited their countries coming into us. We're as a downstream country. With the passage of Beryl in that same area again, we can expect this to continue happening or occurring for the upcoming days ahead. In central coastal Belize district, the coastal road, as I mentioned before, we're seeing very saturated soil levels, and this is a contributing factor for flash flooding as well as the rainfall volumes. We will keep monitoring these different conditions, and we will update and advise accordingly via our daily flood forecast. And so that's it from our end.
Thank you, Ms. Handy. I was told that we now have Mayor Wally on, so I will hand over for some remarks from him.
Hello, yes, good day. We are here still at the NEMO office. Just recently we had some outer bands from the weather and the wind picked up. There was some rain. So we're seeing some of the outer bands starting to come in, but and people are starting to go into their houses now. So we're asking the general public for them to stay safe, stay at home, not be out there in the because a lot of people will want to go out to see how it's going on and if there's any wave action. It has been something that everybody wants to go and see, but we want them to stay safe.
Awesome. Thank you. Miss Vanessa, do you have anything to add?
Hi, thank you. Hello to everyone. I know our shelters are opening for 4. We already have people who are calling and asking and making their way to the shelters. Just having our shelter management team post at every shelters, going over the rules of the shelters as everyone enters and recording the shelter management forms. I just want to encourage the public, as the mayor rightfully said, to just stay safe. Especially when the winds start to pick up, we don't know what flying debris may be out there, and we just want everybody to be at home at this time and take all necessary precautions, stay at home, and be safe with your family.
Awesome. Thank you. We now open the floor to the media to ask your questions. We remind the public that we are only taking questions from the media at this time. Love FM, please go ahead.
Why do I remind the public that?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, clearly. Please go ahead.
Ernesto Vasquez here at Love FM Love Television. We got a call from.
Mr. Vasquez, you're breaking up.
He's on mute.
Yes, you are muted.
I don't think so.
Okay, we're back up.
Am I better? Okay.
Yes.
Could the Met officer explain what are autobahns for us in Creole? A lot of people we keep hearing will be affected by the autobahns, and if you look it up, and you look at the scientific meaning, you know, could you explain it clear? What are the autobahns of a hurricane?
Thank you for your question, Mr. Vasquez. And I hope that when we do these interviews and we repeat these terms, that people become acquainted with them. I'm sure at some point people didn't know what a hurricane means, but now they know. So to answer your question, an outer band, sir, is the feeder bands that extend into the hurricane. If you want to attack in a Creole, that the rainfall on the outer effects of the hurricane that is feeding moisture or taking, how should I say moisture in Creole? Let me just leave that at that. That is taking moisture into the hurricane, sir. That is an outer band, okay? You see them like spiral bands and so forth. If you look at the satellite imagery, you will see like spirals from the hurricane. These are what we call outer bands, sir. Thank you.
But is this the very edge of the hurricane, right? At the very exit point?
It doesn't have to be at the edge. It could be at the beginning of the hurricane. It could be at the other side. So when the hurricane is coming in, you have bands that are coming from like the northwest into the hurricane. When the hurricane passes, those bands will be coming up from the southeast and going into the hurricane. Those are the bands that we're talking about.
At this point, the way the hurricane is going, would I be correct in saying then we are going to be affected by the outer bands of the hurricane itself?
Yes, certainly. That is what is impacting us.
The outside edge of the hurricane. Mr. Gordon, how far, if the hurricane keeps its trajectory, how far is the eye going to be, let's say, from Belize, from Corozal? It gives us an idea of the strength of and the weaker parts of the hurricane affecting Belize. Because the report here says 39, we can expect 39 to 73 mile per hour winds. And 73 mile per hour winds are pretty strong winds.
The hurricane is currently 279 miles northeast of Corozal town. If it is moving on a west-northwest trajectory, it is likely to hold that distance or come a little bit closer, maybe to about 250 miles or so from Corozal town.
All right. So, and how big is the hurricane from the eye to the outer bands coming down south? I understood a few days ago, I heard the main hurricane itself from the eye, the hurricane winds are like around 60 odd miles. Is that true? Is that what I heard? Did I hear correct?
No, the hurricane force winds, I believe at the moment, the last time I checked was about 45 miles from the center. And
Okay.
that mostly in the northern quadrant. To
Right.
the south,
Right.
it will extend less because the south is typically
Right.
less. Yeah. And the tropical storm force winds at the south of the center was about 80 miles previously. I think it contracted a bit, so it's less than that now.
So when it reaches Tulum, you're talking about what? Not even 100 miles from the center of the storm? Would I be right? In a southerly direction towards Belize, that the hurricane, the size of that tail end is as big as maybe 100 miles, while we are quite more than 100 miles away from Tulum. I'm
I
just
think
trying to paint a graphic here.
I will wrap it up by saying that we expect minimal effects from this hurricane. As I had mentioned in my presentation, we expect gusts to tropical storm force at the most in the north.
Okay.
And other than that, there will not be significant impact. And I think I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Vasquez. Can we now move on to Jules, please?
Yes, hi. Good afternoon. Thanks. Would you speak about the disappointing effects of the wind shear? We thought that the wind shear would shred this storm, but I take note of your open in that you said it is reconsolidating, I should say. Is it that the wind shear is not as strong as expected, or is it that the superheated sea or the warm ocean temperatures is such fuel that not even the wind shear can really overcome it?
I think I will start off by saying something that I should not say. We have so many experts, I believe, in this country. I'm wondering why we have a scarcity of meteorologists at the department, but let's move on from that one. Jules, you're an expert. Certainly, indeed, the hurricane is fighting two counteracting forces, as we said this morning. So we had the wind shear as one factor that is supporting weakening. And of course, we have the very, very warm waters, which is supporting strengthening. The wind shear indeed is not as strong as was forecasted. It's a moderate wind shear that I saw. And certainly waters are extra warm, which is the fuel for these hurricanes. So two counteracting forces at play. And I think I will close off this answer by saying that we have always indicated that the intensity forecast for hurricanes is a problem. So when we say intensity, we always need to give it a category or two below or above what is forecasted for. The track forecast, as we're seeing, is almost pinpoint accurate. It's not as accurate as well, it's not perfect, but it's almost pinpoint accurate. And the models were converging on that. And that's the reason why when we don't issue a warning or so forth for a hurricane that may be in front of us, it's because we do have confidence when we see those models converging and clustering on a particular solution.
And then if I could a quick follow-up, you alluded also that it may be a category 3 upon landfall, a low category 3 upon landfall due to this somewhat unexpected intensification.
It is possible that it could be a category 3 at landfall based on my own judgment. This is not coming from the Hurricane Center. I am looking at what I'm seeing on satellite imagery, and I'm noticing that we only have 12 to 18 hours before landfall. And if this thing is re-strengthening, it's right now at 110, which is borderline category 3. 111 would be category 3. So it's 1 mile per hour weaker than what would be a category 3. So if it becomes, let's say, 115, 120, it is likely that it will maintain that up to landfall, which is, again, just 12 to 18 hours away.
Excellent. Okay, and real quick, if I could ask Mr. NEMO coordinator, sir, a lot has been made about the mixed messages you all sent between bulletin number 4 and number 5, and I understand it's a fluid situation, the circumstances change, and you all have to change accordingly. But are you all under pressure of some sort? Because the Prime Minister clearly said in an interview yesterday, we have to work, we can't stop working, and and then we see that NEMO's directive is for Belize City businesses to remain open. The latest one said Orange Walk businesses should remain open. Are you all, and it's not bad pressure, but are you all under pressure to keep businesses open and not panic, as the Prime Minister's words?
Right. Thank you for your question. So it's not panic. It is finding that balance between safety and keeping the country open. We take all of the information that we have been receiving from the Met Service to make that best judgment. And so it's really finding that right balance. So we're not in panic mode. We are really trying to see how we can ensure that things continue as normal while at the same time remaining prepared for the possible effects of the storm. And so we constantly do our risk assessments. We take in new information. We're looking at how we can ensure that the exposure of the people's exposure is minimized, but at the same time keeping things going. So it's just like with the Met Service, it's not an exact science. We cannot say immediately the entire country will be affected, but we have to go on a case-by-case basis, hour-by-hour basis, and really looking at that, using that information for us to be able to update our risk assessments and to advise the government accordingly on what needs to be done.
Thank you, Mr. Mendez. We have joined with us Miss Minister Andrea Perez. I will allow you to give some remarks. You are muted.
Yes. Hi. Hi, good afternoon to everybody here. Yes, it's good to be here. I'm here in the NEMO office here in San Pedro Borgesky, and I'm accompanied here with the mayor, and of course the OEC person right here, Ms. Parham. I'm listening keenly to the entire discussion right now about the storm, and I want to thank everyone there that are working with NEMO right now, NEC, the CEO, Mr. Gordon, the entire department, everybody doing their stellar performance as it is right now.
Awesome. Thank you, Minister. Do we have any questions for the Minister? Please raise your hands while we have him with us.
To everyone. So, Minister, are you able to speak about price gouging in particular that's happening in San Pedro as it relates to the price of the bread? We were told that a loaf is being sold for $5 as opposed to the price controlled, which is about $2.15, not about $2.15. And what's being done about that?
Yes, actually, that was a big subject that we just had a meeting with the entire EOC management team here. That was a big issue, not only with the price of bread that was being sold at $5, and it was a regular size 16-ounce loaf, it looks like, and the receipt shows that it is $5. I don't want to aim or isolate that specific business location, but we have been aware of this specific location actually having high prices with these. So certainly we're looking at it, not only with food prices, but also the issue of certain unscrupulous business people. Hardware stores selling the plywood, I think the half-inch was going for $110, ridiculous prices. What we are saying, and we were at the meeting, that we do not have any space for this type of business. I think these unscrupulous businesses that take advantage of our community, when in fact it is our community that gives them that opportunity to do business in San Pedro and Borgesky, and by extension in Kikaker as well. That's uncalled for. It's illegal as well, of course, to do that, but also it's unethical, man. You don't do that to a community that is needed at the same time. So we know who they are. The mayor and I were very much discussing that. We're going to be visiting these people, and also to further mention that the Bureau of Standards, we're actively engaged with them, and they are going to actually, to avoid this. It happens all the time. This is not the only time we're seeing this, but especially in this extraordinary time where the storms we are under threat, no? But the point is this, we are looking by getting trained 8 people. We have gotten the advice already from the Bureau of Standards. It is. We're going to get 8 people and 2 for Kikaker to go through that training, so we have them permanently staffed here in San Pedro and Kikaker, because it's too much. We got to put a stop to it, and the evidence on that one was clear. $5 for a loaf of bread, unacceptable.
Thank you, Minister. Brittany, you have a question?
Hi, yes, I actually have a question from my colleague Marianne. If you can move. Okay, so it's for either Mr. Perez or Mr. Nunes, whoever would prefer to answer, but can you paint a picture to me what San Pedro is looking like right now in terms of preparation and what's going on? And for the residents that have chosen to stay there amidst the storm, what advice can we give to them?
Yes, at the moment, well, we have been going around town and you can clearly see that there's not much people on the street because there's a lot of people actually who left the island. Um, so if if we can put a word to it, it'll be like a ghost town out there. We don't have much people going around. Earlier today, we had some people that were doing their last minute shopping, but after everything closed down at 12 o'clock, well, everybody went back home. Right now, I am heading out to another meeting, and I will be out, and I will be checking out how it looks out there, and then we can give another update later on today. We are going also to the local radio station, myself, the minister, and the NEMO director here, Ms. Parham, along with the police, to give a little update as to what we have been discussing at the meetings.
Thank you. Are there any other questions?
Passengers went out and 1,500 on the airlines.
Okay. Well, I'll have the minister give a little update on the passengers that left.
Okay.
Yeah. No, just to share with you all the figures that are coming in for us for Kikaka and San Pedro, a total of 4,328 people have left the islands, both islands, no? And also roughly about 1,500 passengers are left via air as well. So it's a significant amount of people that have taken precaution to seek shelter outside of the islands.
Thank you, Minister. Aaron Humes, you have a question?
Thanks. I don't know if the minister has gone already. I just wanted to follow up quickly with regard to the pricing situation. We spoke about San Pedro and that that price of $5 per loaf of bread. I don't know if the NEMO coordinator can speak to issues in other parts of the country. I know there have been a generalized report from earlier this week, so if you can speak to that.
Well, thank you, Mr. Humes, for that question. I have not received information from other parts of the country, in particular in the north. But as Minister Perez had said, once we find out that information, we will be taking the necessary actions to address those.
Okay, and then secondly, you mentioned that shelters will be open. By what time would you estimate is the earliest you make that decision? And if so, well, certainly Corozal and perhaps San Pedro, but where exactly would be the focus? I don't know about perhaps the least as well, depending on what sort of action we get here.
Well, certainly, as you heard, the San Pedro shelters will be opened at 4 or have opened already. Other shelters will be opening. I don't have the exact time, but for sure they will be opening or should be opening anytime soon. And then this is for those areas. I know for sure the Corozal district shelters will be opening tonight for those persons who need it. And then there may be a need in other parts of the country as they develop. As I indicated, all of our EOCs are operational and they are monitoring this tonight. And so as the need arises, we will be opening these shelters.
Okay, and you'll be sure to communicate that publicly once you do. Thanks very much.
Thank you. We will take our last question from Channel 5. Brittany, please go ahead.
Okay, this again is for Mr. Nunes or Mr. Perez. What's the schedule looking like for tomorrow on the islands in regards to travel for people that want to come in or come?
I think you're muted, Vanessa.
Okay. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Yeah, of course, we're guided by what the author said. So for now, there's no traveling here in San Pedro Kikaker. We are waiting for it to guidance on the clearance. We have to go by what the Met Service is guiding us and letting us know if all clear. But for now, no traveling for tomorrow, going or off the island, both Kikaker and Hamburg Ski.
Thank you. And with that, we end today's briefing. Again, we want to thank you all for tuning in. Please follow official reports, listen to what we're putting out, be safe, and I can't stress that enough. Please remain safe. Don't go outside to see what's happening. Listen to what the experts are telling you here today. And like I said, we will let you know if we will be tuning in tomorrow, depending on the weather conditions. But look out for that advisory from us. Thank you and have a good evening. Stay safe, Billies.
Thank you.